video. What are you doing now?
Namaskar and a very warm welcome to everyone joining today on our week 66 Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. This talk is being organized by the Central Zoo Authority, New Delhi, as part of the ongoing Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Mahotsav is a 75-week-long celebration to commemorate 75 years of India's independence, which falls on the 15th of August 2022. The Central Zoo Authority is taking the celebration forward through a massive outreach campaign entitled Conservation to Coexistence, The People Connect. Under the helm of this campaign, we will be showcasing 75 conservation priority species and 75 zoos, highlighting one species and one zoo each week. We're currently in week 66 of the celebration with the red-crowned roofed turtle as the species in focus and the Kanpur Zoological Park as the zoo in focus. So joined in today to speak to us on this species is Dr. Shailendra Singh. Dr. Shailendra is the director of the Turtle Survival Alliance India program, and he has completed his doctorate studying the species in focus for this week. And he's completed his doctorate on the species in focus for this week. He has over 2 decades of experience working on over 200 projects in conservation, research, and recovery of freshwater turtles, tortoises, crocodiles, and the Gangetic river dolphin in India. He is also the vice chairman of the South Asia chapter of the IUCN SSE Tortoise and Freshwater Specialist Group. And over the course of his career, Dr. Singh has received various accolades for his contribution to this field, most recently being the Behelar Turtle Conservation Award in 2021. He will speak to us today more on the species in focus. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Monty. So can I request you to put my presentation on?
Sure. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yes, the screen is visible. Thank you so much. Yes. So thank you for the opportunity to share more information about red-crowned roof turtle in the Gangetic Plain. So this species is actually originally called Bengal turtles, and then I think the main reason of this was like mainly that was found in some of the selected markets in West Bengal to start with. Today, I'm going to talk more about the field program which TSA is doing in association of in association of Uttar Pradesh Forest Department as well as Madhya Pradesh Forest Department. Also, I will touch like some of the aspects where this species need more conservation efforts ex situ. That means that where it is now. So a little bit more about this species before I go into the actual project and the findings on the status of this particular species. So next, please. So when you talk about this turtle, it's a large riverine turtle. So the females can go up to 60 centimeters. They are huge, and the males, there are clear sexual dimorphism. So males are much smaller. As you can see, there's a photos. This photo does not do justice, but I mean the males are really very beautiful, as you saw in the title photo as well as other photos which I am going to show here. This species is critically endangered. So as you can see, this little map I put here, this was in entirely Gangetic Plain, and also there was some records from the Myanmar as well as like other countries of Southeast Asia. But the major population existed here in this entire Gangetic Plain. But you'll be very surprised to know past 40 years, there's none recovered or captured from Ganga River, which is really a concern for all of us. In terms of the habitat, it's very much sympathetic to gharial. So gharial is a large snouted fish-eating crocodile everyone know of, and then wherever the Kachuga was, definitely gharial was there present throughout the entire Ganges as well as all the tributaries those join Ganges. Right now, this species is confined to Chambal, and we fear that we have less than 500 females surviving on the river. I will tell you why. Next, please. So right now, what are the actual threats this species is facing in the entire distribution range, including Chambal? So when I talk about Ganga, so as I already said that there's no population left on Ganga as far as we know. But there is another sympatric species of this, the same genus Batagu dongoka, still there are some viable population present here and there. But in terms of Batagu kachuga, already there is no population except the small population left on the Chambal River. So in Chambal River, what are the major threats this population is facing? So as you can see that means this population, especially the neonates, the hatchlings, the eggs, they are highly threatened due to the sand collection. Predation, as you can see, there's a 54% of the eggs, they get predated as soon as they are laid. And jackal is the biggest predator of this particular species. The hatching, again, I mean, the hatchlings are also under the threat, and the loss of riverbed agriculture through and through. Chambal, which is expanding. And poaching, this is a kind of a little old data. So poaching is 1%, but now we feel that poaching contribute more to the problems of this species is facing on the Chambal River, where the last population is surviving. Next, please. So in terms of the riverbed agriculture and the sand extraction, as you can see that, so there are in in the subsequent slide, I'm going to show you, there are total 18 key nesting sites. Those were documented in Chambal between 2007 and 2011. So in 4 years, there were 18 sites. That means that the Kachuga nested more than, at least there were 50 or more nests of Kachuga found on those sites. And 10 out of them are affected due to either sand mining or riverbed agriculture, which is really a great concern when this entire population lives only in one ecosystem. Next, please. So these are some of the habitat, just to give you an idea. So it does not mean that the entire sanctuary is like 600 plus kilometers and Kachuga lay everywhere, or like even sympatric species Batagu dongoka lay everywhere. They're very, very confined. They are habitat specialists. Another question you can ask, that why Kachuga is so endangered, since they need very deep pool to survive, since as you know that species is really, really large, and then also they need really high sand banks to haul out and bask as well as to nest. And also means no such things are very, very limited in Chambal River. So not only for this species, but also for gharials as well as other threatened fauna. So these are the 18 important key nesting sites. Those are identified all along Chambal River. Those need to be protected right away from any kind of threats if we really want to see this species survive well in the future. Next, please. So the erratic release, that is another threat. So we don't realize, but there are upstream dams, not only on the Chambal, but on major rivers and the riverine ecosystems. And they are always in the upstream. And as you know that those dams need to collect water and need to release them whenever there's more water upstream, or when there is more water there in the reservoir. So they have to release them. But unfortunately, this kind of release is not in concurrence with the nesting of the species, which is generally happening in all those 18 habitats which I just showed you. So what is the impact of such erratic release? That, so they nest in month of March, and right after March, the river start drying up, or the water start going down. And then reservoir has to release water from upstream. So there is a photo you can see is one of our riverside hatchery, where the entire thing got flooded and inundated, and we had to shift lots of eggs upstream in the village, upriver in a village, so they don't inundate. But sadly, there are other 500 nests which we were monitoring on the river in 2015. Everything got inundated, and all of them were killed. And recently, we again heard that from, another endangered species is Indian skimmer. Lots of nest and babies of that particular species got inundated from the upstream release this year itself. So such erratic releases are very, very important to regulate, especially during the nesting and hatching season. Next, please. And another thing is that means drowning in the fishing nets. So definitely all the rivers are connected with the bigger rivers, of course, eventually to the Ganges. And this species utilizes much more bigger area than earlier it was thought of. I will show you certain maps, but as you can see, that means, so there are still lots of things are not known, but apparently females travel a lot to find the nesting as well as foraging habitats. So in one of our experiment, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit, it's like, at least one animal travel 200 and more kilometer just to, complete the life cycle. So that means that they need to bask, they need to nest, they need to find the mates, they need to find foraging area, especially those are shallower rivers and all of that. And through that, in that process, especially during the monsoon, if they get out of the protected area, they might get entangled in the fishing nets, and sometime within the protected area. Another photo which you can see down is a selective hunting of the males. That is another concern which just like kind of emerging from the Chambal River. So these 23 males, they were all caught in 2017, and they were all from Agra. And they are very, very rare, but poachers know where they are. And as you can see, all of them were equal size. So people collect them and they sell them. And apparently you don't need to value anything in terms of wildlife, but they sell really expensive in Southeast Asia and other parts of the world. So these are the males in the breeding color. Next, please. So what we do to revert the situation? So every year we go there, we patrol certain areas where we find some kachuga nest, and that starts from early February till early April, and we continuously survey that area. Right now we are just like focusing more on the lower Chambal. In 5 or 6 years, we focus more on the middle Chambal. Upper Chambal we yet to address, and we don't know what is happening there. But there we do the nest protection, and May is when they hatch. So that means that 60 to 65 days from the nesting, all the babies are going to be there in such enclosed hatchery. As you can see that those little chambers, they are representing a single nest from the females. Those were like taken from a different places. And why we are doing it here? So we call it in-Situ hatchery program. So that means that we want to mimic the temperature, since as you start taking the eggs out, and most of you know that turtles and most of other reptiles, their gender that is dependent on the temperature they were incubated on. So every day 4-5 per kilometer and 20 kilometer per week, this is our patrolling area, and we as I said, that we simulate the similar environmental conditions, and we also ensure the minimum transport and regular presence of the staff. That is a key of this entire hatchery program there. And this also benefit certain other things like patrolling by the forest department, other things. And this is how we try and protect every single nest of this particular species every year, to make sure that some babies are returning back safely, so the population is not really crashing. Next, please. So this is another some photos, as you can see that. So transportation of the vulnerable fresh nest. So that means that we don't translocate any nest which is more than a week or anything like that. And then we have a very clear laid out criteria that which nest need to go in the hatchery. We also collect data on the nest profile. We mimic the nest parameters, whatever the sand we bring from the nest, from the nesting site itself. And most importantly, all the hatchlings are taken back and released the precise location of the nest collection. So through this exercise, every year 300 to 500 nests protected of two species. It is not Batagur kachuga. You should not be confused. So there are two species, Batagur dongoka and Batagur kachuga. Another species is critically endangered, which survives on the river. And only 10% of the total nest is Batagur kachuga. Rest all are Batagur dongoka. Next, please. So there's some other photos. We do certain experiment that means how we can tweak the temperature, how we can get the desired sex ratio, if we can make more males. So in the case of Batagur kachuga, whatever information we are getting till date is like if you incubate the eggs on the lower temperature, you are going to get more males. But if there are slightly higher temperature, you will get more females. So this is how we do the rigorous temperature monitoring through the hobos, and we do certain experiment through like shedding certain areas, and also means increasing temperature and all of that, just to understand that what can be done if there is any climatic variable changes over the time in the river like Chambal. Next, please. So all the babies, they are tagged with the external as well as internal tags. As you can see that the plastic cable ties, we don't use any ties. Those are colorful in hope to, so they can avoid the, any predator in that area. We distribute them as in a stretch as long as we can. We also do like a little bit skewed notching and all of that if the species is slightly bigger than this. But in this like a small, the freshly hatched turtles, we don't do any skewed notching. So what we are right now, we are achieving 90% of the hatching success. This is average success for last 15 years, but last year we achieved 95%. We just finished another hatching season where we achieved 95% of the hatching. And all the hatchlings are released within 12 hours, marking up to at least 50% of the total turtles. Next, please. And then there are certain field facilities such as Deori, which is run by Forest Department of Madhya Pradesh, as well as in Garhaita, which is run jointly by Turtle Survival Alliance and UP Forest Department. There we raise certain babies, like every year 100 to 150 babies. So we can, so this entire process is called head starting, where you raise babies up to a certain size so they are less vulnerable to the predation. So, and this is very important exercise. And then also we try and see that if these hatchlings, how these hatchlings survive as per the different size classes, which you can call age and area where they are being released. Next, please. So this is a little experiment we did just to understand the efficacy of all the exercises we are doing. So the 10 animals like about 9 years of age, we released from Dairy Center in 2013. And we did little soft lease. So the person who don't know what soft lease is, so actually it is a gradual return of the captive raised individuals. So as you can see, this entire area we enclosed using the bamboos, and all 10 animals, and we also chased muggers and whatever predators, those are already there. And this was very nice habitat on the Chambal River. And all 10 captive raised individuals we tagged with acoustic transmitter. This transmitter works, this does not work on the radiomagnetic frequencies, but also on the acoustic, acoustic frequencies. And as you can see in the photo, this is how a transmitter attached on a turtle. So in the rear, and why we choose this area to test the transmitter, so that transmitter does not get entangled with any fishing net or anything like that. So it's like kind of on the shade of the body of the entire animal. So next, please. So this is like kind of just to give an idea that how far they dispersed, and we were very happy to report that over 70% animals survived, means 7 animals at least they gave signal for 24 months state. But we were very surprised to see that how far they can move and settled. So there are 2 animals, as you can see, number 26 and 27, they moved all the way down from the release site, which is up, written in green, Kuthiana. And we believe that they are still there, but they were there, they settled after 12 months. But I mean, this program is really helping this population to at least stabilize, if not like increasing or expanding in other river systems. Next, please. Another very important thing I just wanted to share with you guys that, so we wanted to compare the results that what happened with wild buttercup kachuga, and if there is any like kind of a disposal in the disposal of the wild caught or wild individuals are called home range. And we were very surprised, unlike gharials, as you can see, there's a male movement for 16 months or so, number 71, and he was like right there at a nesting bank itself. Though the female, I mean, this 77, that she did not move much, but there are other females, they really moved out of that area. So in other species of turtles and even crocodiles, males are known to move much longer than the females. But here we are finding that these are the preliminary results, but we were surprised with the results that male are so very tight with their own environment. And even there was a male, I mean, probably this male, 71, he just like, he was there on the rock for all 16 months and resting under that rock, coming out, basking on that. He was just waiting for females to pass by or like something to eat there, but he was just there staying there. but the females, they moved really larger distances, and that might explain, since they have the larger body size and they can probably choose more mates while moving through a larger body, larger distances. So that again, I mean, this finding was very helpful to share with the government authorities that how like male and females are really tied with their own habitats. Next, please. So what are the major findings? So major findings are that, as we already shared, that we have only 18 nesting sites where this species are actually surviving, and they can be called sancta sanctorum. I mean, we can't really disturb them, otherwise there would be more problem with that. And this species earlier, which is kind of endemic of South Asia, is now endemic. If you can use the word endemic, restricted to only Chambal River, nowhere else, not even no population in Yamuna, not even a single specimen discovered from Ganga and any other places in northeastern India or lower section of Sundarbans or anything like that. And total 8 sections, those are very important. 300 nests per year. So that means that 3,600 nests per year. This is both Kachuga and Dangoka, but only means less than 500 nests per year for Kachuga. And 90% nests, those are predated or destroyed, as already we mentioned about that. And 5% nest, what we are trying to protect. Rest 95%, we don't know what is happening with them. So we need more and more efforts. And I'm very happy to note that Madhya Pradesh Forest Department started doing some hatchery program. They are doing something. Rajasthan is just like thinking. So it's like kind of a very intermittent program, opportunistic program. But we need like coordinated program between all 3 states to understand what is the status of this particular species, which is even more endangered than the gharials on Chambal River. So gharials even has satellite populations at a couple of places like Katania Ghat and in Corbett National Park and so on and all of that. But this is particular species is just on the Chambal River. So this little graph is showing that we are hatching, we are releasing more babies, and you can see, I mean, through and through, when you go and use your binoculars, you can see more babies in the certain sections where we're working. But what is happening with the nesting population? So nesting population is going down. So the species with the delayed sexual maturity and I mean, that can't really take the stress from different, all the coming from different angles, from the predation, from the poaching, from the sand collection, from everything. So this particular population is really under threat. And we don't know that, like, what else can be done for that. So yeah, next please. So assurance colonies from the zoo side. So right now there are 4 assurance colonies at Madras Crocodile Bank, Kukrel, Kanpur Zoo. So probably gentlemen from the Kanpur Zoo going to talk more about that. So I'm not going to touch about that. And recently we shifted some females from our facility in Kukrel to Lucknow Zoological Garden. So these are the 4 facilities where we have Batagur, Kachuga, red crown roof turtles right now. Madras Crocodile Bank and Kukrel are breeding them, but Kanpur Zoo does not have a male. And again, I mean, Lucknow Zoo also does not have any male right now. So since most of the head-started animals to start with, from where these colonies were derived, were females, and we are longing more males from Madras Crocodile Bank, as well as, like, if any other international colonies. So these are the 4 colonies. Probably all these 4 colonies needs to talk to each other more on the husbandry, as well as, like, how to keep the eggs, and if they can exchange animals, probably to exchange more bloodlines and stuff. That would be probably part of the good management practices. Next, please. So we, sorry, this slide got shifted, but awareness program. So along the Chambal, Turtle Survival Alliance maintain a facility as well as an education center where we target different stakeholders like riverbed agriculturists, riverside schools, forest department. And recently we started a GPS-based patrolling called SMART. And this is like just to gather more and more information, not only on the threats, but also if, like, what is happening with the population. And definitely we need to learn more and learn more about the biology and what else we can do. Another challenge I could not make a slide on that was that right now all your eggs are in one basket, which is just Chambal River. So definitely we'll have to find an alternate habitat where we can, at least on the pilot level, we can introduce some of the animals and try and protect them and monitor them using acoustic transmitters or satellite transmitters or anything like that. So before it is too late, definitely we'll have to look into that how we can establish an alternate population and save this species from the brink. So right now it's a stabilized population on the Chambal, but definitely we need to do lots more than whatever we are doing right now. Next, please. So thank you very much for the attention. I was given 20 minutes time, but I just wanted to thank Forest Department of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan MP State Biodiversity Board, which has been funding this project for last 5 years, Disney Conservation Fund, Lucknow Kanpur Zoo, Kukrayal, TSA on ground team and local communities of Chambal. And I'm happy to answer any question if you might have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving the talk on the red-crowned roof turtle, as well as informing us of the initiatives that are, being undertaken for its conservation. We will take question answers for this session after the talk on the zoo. So we now move on to the Know Your Zoo part of today's talk. So joining today to speak to us on the zoo is Dr. Mohammed Nasir, who is the veterinary officer at the Kanpur Zoological Garden. So Dr. Nasir has done his master's in veterinary science in surgery and radiology and has over a decade of experience working for the welfare and management of wild animals at the zoo. So he will speak to us today more on the Kanpur Zoological Park. So over to you, sir. Please start your talk.
ये बैक साइड स्क्रीन फाइल यही तो है हाँ हमारी फाइल तो सही यस कैन यू ऑडिबल टू मी
Sir, you're audible. आप please इसको presentation mode में डाल दीजिए, slideshow वाले mode में.
ओके ओके मैम इसमें था उसके ऊपर स्लाइड
Fine, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm Dr. Nasir from Kanpur Zoological Park. Here, I'm working since 2014 as a wildlife vet here, and I have completed my MBSc in surgery and radiology. So, since 2014, I am working here for treatment, management, transportation, and other type of the work which is related with the wild animal. As our zoo, Kanpur Zoological Park, was established and open for public in 4th February 1974. The area of the zoological park is 76.56 hectare. Actually, before 2000, before 1974, it was a natural forest which is established by a timber merchant, George Burney Allen. So the George Burney Allen was timber merchant. He established that zoo, that forest. After that, it is established in a mandated forest. The terrain of the park is undulating and resemble a high forest because it was a dense forest. So here the natural thing is that this is natural forest, the natural all undulating and resemble a high forest. It is one of those zoological parks which have give much important to modern line of the zoo building principles. Like all the enclosures are looking very natural, and the enclosures where it is established, it is like the animals like very much for the natural things, and all the wild animals uh, in Kanpur Zoological Park record breeding here. It is the exotic as well as the Indian wildlife breed very well. So in Kanpur Zoological Park, total the position of the animal is bird species is total 40 species is there, and the number is 656, in which domestic wild bird is there, and water fowl bird is there, and pheasant, different type pheasants, and exotic birds is there. Mammals population is 36, in which the herbivores and carnivores, mammals, herbivores and carnivores and omnivorous. Herbivores, in herbivores there is different type of the deer, like antlers and antelopes. Antlers and antelope, in antlers is sika deer, sika, and spotted deer, sambar deer, hog deer, barking deer. These are the species which are residing in our Kanpur Zoological Park. Reptiles point of view, we can see here the crocodile and turtle species in salt turtle, that is Batagur kachuga, and spotted pond turtle, and uh, Sundari turtle, hill turtle is there, Sundari turtle is there, and kachuga and flap shell turtle, which are residing here. So reptiles in which other thing is different type of the snake is there. Poisonous and non-poisonous snake is there. Poisonous uh, with cobra, Russell viper, cobra, and Russell viper, cobra, brown cobras and black cobras there, and different type of the non-poisonous snake is also residing here. Different type of the deer family, is antlers and antelope is there. Antlers, antlers is which are annually fall in the horns, uh, annually fall of the horns, and antelope is permanent horns. So it is the basic difference that which are the antelopes and antlers. Antelopes are not true deers. Antlers are the true deers, and the largest deer of the India is also in our Kanpur Zoological Park. Sambar is there. Sambar is breeding is good here, and every year two or three fawn born in every year, and survival rate is also good. And there is only the chance is here the breeding internal breeding is there. So there is a resistance power is not so good, and the fawn which are born are stillbirth, or there is a deformities in the different type of the abnormal features is there. So due to this is the due to internal breeding is here. So we want the fresh blood to introduce in different type of the deer families. So it is the basic requirement in our zoo. And the disease point of view, when we see, there is only the inbreeding season, there is a lot of the fighting is there. So at that time management is so hard, and migrated wound is there. So we are tranquilize the animals, and capturing by physical methods, and treat them. Sambar is the largest deer, and we provide different type of the in feed point of view. We provide different type of the vegetables in different seasonal vegetables, and uh, in summer season there is we provide the fodder, green fodder, and the concentrate which are provided to the deer is here all the raw materials are collected here and checked by the veterinarian and mixed in proper ratio, and then it provided to the deers. So in our zoo, in my zoo, there is a Kanpur Park, the breeding of the all the deers Chinkara, black buck, and schedule one other. The Thamin deer is there. Thamin Manipur deer is there. So in every year, one or two fawn comes in the Thamin deer, and due to it wants the purchasation timing is in January and December month. So there is very cold there. So there is of the chances of management to save the farm is very difficult in farm India. So every year one or two farm comes, but survival rate is only one survive here. So it is very nice that Thamin is a native place in Manipur, and there is a floating lakes where it found, and uh, there is breeding place there. But in our zoo is very nice place for the Thamin deer for breeding purposes. So if we see the lion family, Felix family, in my zoo, there is a one pair came from brought from the Raipur Zoo, male and female, named Ajay male and Nandini female. After 1 year, the female will get pregnant, will got pregnant, and she gave birth twice, two times. There is three cubs which are survived here. There is a total population is five, and two male and three female is there. One female Sundari name that born in the 2017. It was rejected by her mother Nandini, and it was a difficult task to save that lioness. Then first of all, when the cub not taken any milk from her mother, so immunity was very weak. At that time, our team decided to collect the serum of mother, and collect the blood and take serum from the blood and inject to the cub. So at when we injected the serum of mother, then tremendous effect came, that the cub Sundari was uh, the cub Sundari survived here and hand reared by us, and the milk which are provided to the Sundari is KMR milk, kitten milk replacer, imported from the USA. So at that time it was very difficult, and now the Sundari is now 3 and 4 years, 3.5, 4 years, and now she is roaring here. It is a good opportunity to us that we save her and hand reared to Sundari. Tiger population is in our zoo is 8 tiger is there. Two is white tiger, one male and one female, and six is Royal Bengal tiger. But the majority of the population which are residing here, they are the rescued from the Pilibhit Tiger Reserve or the Bareilly, and different beside the Durban National Park. They are rescued here. One male tiger in 2020, one male and female tiger Mallu and Malti in see they are rescued from the Pilibhit Tiger Range, and they are brought to here. Mallu was a man eater, and his killing was his killing was 6 man killing is there. So it brought to our zoo, and now he is kept in hospital enclosures, and now his behaviors are watching by biologists and doctors, veterinary doctors. So now at the when it came from the Pilibhit Tiger Reserve, it was very furious and roared when anybody come to near his enclosure. But nowadays Mallu, the male tiger, which age is 3.5 years, he is now the very calm, and when keepers call him, he come and eat the food and drink water, and now he is under watching condition in our hospital of the zoo. And Malti is also rescued there, their same places. Malti is a tigress which has ability to climb on the trees. So when it was, and again, its behavior was at that time, she came, from the forest and enters into the human territory, and again, two or three times it pushes back to the forests. But when one a time came that she came in the human territory and accidental kills a person, and there was violence is there. So at that time, uh, she was tranquilized and brought here for the rehabilitation center for the Kanpur Zoological Park. Now she is also kept in our hospitals. These are what birds. If we discuss about the birds, birds are the different type of birds. The water birds is there, different type of goose, pelicans, and spotted pond duck, and bar-headed goose, Muscovy duck is there. So we are providing it. It is kept in our walk through every, and the walk through is every is very big here, and the all the birds are for the providing him, providing them the fishes and different type of the bird feeds given them. And nowadays the breeding of these water birds is very good. All the birds are breeding their offsprings, come in every time, every in this season. And so the surviving rate and everything is very nice here. In last year, when the bird flu came here, then there was very difficult task to save them. But we have we have completed that task. All the premises are closed for the 3 or 4 months, and the sanitation program and other different type of the ponds, different type of ponds are sanitized by different type of the drugs and disinfectant, and all the staffs are weared by the PPE kit. And that time it was very difficult, but nowadays we save them at that time. All the birds which are not culled by us. Authority said that the all bird you will cut, you will culled because the different type of the some mortality is there in our zoo. But we decided that we isolated them, and different type of the disinfectant and other things we followed and saved them. And reptiles houses is in our zoo is reptiles, different type of the snakes is there. Russell viper is very well survive here, and they are the oviparous. So in breeding season they give birth, but the offsprings which come, we can't save them last year, because the what type of the food we provide them, small insects, and these issues are there. One or two survive there, but others are not survived. They are released in the natural forest, so that they survive there. So different type of the snake, common cobra and Indian rock python, rat snake is there in our zoo. Lake, there is a 18-hectare lake, natural lake in our zoo, which is a very good ecosystem and biodiversity related. And every year, many type of the migratory birds come here for the nesting and breeding. So it is a very good place for the breeding and nesting for the migratory bird, and also of different type of the uh, different type of alga and different type of the insect, and biodiversity rich in this is very rich water ecosystem is there. And in this lake there is a 40 to 50 crocodiles survive here. Different type of the fishes is there, or it is the floating islands we developed recently. We have developed different type of floating islands. So different type of the birds are nest there and breed there. So it is very good. The lake maintenance is that different type of the grasses are grown here. So there is a chances of the poor nutrition and the chances of the oxygen deficit in the water. So we pull that grasses from the uh, lake every year, and sometimes it when it becomes more, then the it is dragged by the tractors and manpowers, so for the richness of the ponds. And many times we put the different type of the oxygen rich supplement in the lakes, so that the all the ecosystem well established here. We can see in this lake different type of the islands we artificially we develop, and different type of the prosopis and other plant is there, and we can see the birds are residing there and nesting there. So it is very nice place for the migratory birds, and good establishment of the good biodiversity, and establishment of the good uh, ecosystem, water ecosystem. And seasonal management, we can in well that nowadays the temperature is very high, so we can see here we can khas tatia apply on the birds enclosures, and if, every 2 or 3 2 hour we wet that khas, so that the blowing the air, cold blowing air towards the uh, towards the birds, so heat stroke minimize. And we put different type of mm, we put different juicy fruits in their diet, like the watermelon and cucumber, watermelon, this type of the fruits which are very juicy in nature, and electrolyte added in the water, so that multivitamins and electrolytes, so that dehydration to protect their dehydrations, and immunity boosters also added in their diets. So we can see that yeah, how in birds we apply the thus in the felids cases we provide them the water coolers, and for the deer families we provide the water sprinklers. And in the winter season for the deer, we can see here that the water fire put on the in this fire camp is also there, and wood, so that the animals are gathered towards the fire and get the heat. So these are now deer enclosures are sanitized by the in every season before the monsoon. We put uh, the calcium carbonate on the ground, and upper crust layers was removed every year, so that the infections, the control the infections, and and also reach the floor, reach the surfaces for the calcium. They lick that calcium, and they when they got it, then they get calcium, and only the disinfectant materials is removing the crust and apply the uh, this type of the tuna. This is also so this type of the enclosures and how they covered by the our Jew staff, so that we can the animals are shy in nature, so they breed there. And for the enrichment, we put different type of the locks and sliding locks is there. We in the black buck enclosure we are putting different type of the locks is there. So we are putting uh, orders on them, so that they they pull it and eat it. And in the summer they beside they sit under that logs, So that is also very nice. Rescued operations, we are also, beside the treatment and management, we are also going to rescue the animals. Different type of the leopard population is 19 population is there. So majority of the population is rescued at very early age from different type of the ganna fields like Muradabad, Tarai regions. They are brought here to hand rear them, and nowadays the total 11 leopards are uh, brought here for the hand rearing. When they brought here, their eyes was not open. They are very small cubs. There is very challenging to save them. So we provide them the KMR milk, and after 2 months we provide them the keema and chicken meat. And nowadays, out of 11, 8 leopards cubs survive here, which is very nice. Nowadays, they are transferred in the different enclosures, and they are enjoying to their lives. These are the Mallu and Malti. Mallu is man eater, and was rescued from the Mala range of the Pilibhit tiger reserve, and he is man eater. That he is killing is about 6, and nowadays uh, he is residing in our hospital and watching by the watching and their behaviors about the years. Now he is very calm and obeys the uh, keepers. When he calls, he comes. Veterinary facility is there is in our hospital one uh, portable ultrasound machine is there. So for the detection of the pregnancy and ascites, liver problems, and other things, we by the portable ultrasonography machines, we are uh, providing very nice diagnosis for the further treatments, and the postmortem and other things facility is also there. So like the Dr. Salen said that the uh, red crown roof turtle is also in our zoo. Uh, in in 2016, we got them from the TSA. So nowadays the red crown turtle is also very they are kept in the enclosure of the that salve enclosures. And red crown turtle introduction is a red crown turtle is Batagur Kachuga, and it is critically injured, endangered. Among top 25 most threatened species, the red crown turtle is very its population decline very low. It is only the 500 adult females are surviving, less than the 500 adult females are surviving, and the only the Chambal River is nowadays the Chambal River is good source or uh, good residing places for the these sal turtles. Males are the smaller than the females, as told by the Selective. And its living place is range Ganga Basin of India and Bangladesh. Chambal is the best existing population of this species, critically endangered as per IUCN. That is Schedule 1 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972. As we see in the map, Bangladesh, Nepal, and these are the Chambal River, very nice place for deer breeding. That is just as told Dr. Silencer, river bed agriculture, that the sand are brought from the river bank, then deer nesting, all the nesting sites are destroyed, and accidental drowning means they are drowned when they have some problem and there is some injuries was there. So at that time, when the water enters into the lungs, then the respiratory due to respiratory failure, they died. Predation and poaching. Poaching is another thing for the uh, different here. For illegal hunting is also an as a threat for them. Erratic release and sand mining is also a threat is for the population, and awareness is also necessary as uh, Dr. Salen told that the awareness for the for save that very critical endangered species and to reach the biodiversity. Captive conservation Kanpur Zoo established assurance colony of species in 2017. Currently, when in 2017, 2016, it was brought from PSA, number was 18, but currently number is 16 individuals are at Kanpur Zoo. They are kept in pond 1.5-meter depth with fresh running water. Males are required. Here, no males is there, so the chances of the breeding is not here. So when we in our collection plan, when we get the male, then no doubt breeding will be there, so we can participate for the conserving them. In captive species, providing daily fresh green lettuce, leaves, cucumber, pumpkin, and alternate date we provide him berries in slices form. We provide them, and in running the pond is water is running water. That so that the all the fresh water. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing the overview of the Kanpur Zoo and the practices that are followed for the seasonal management, among others. So we now move on to the question answer session for today's talk. So we will take questions for for the species section first. So Dr. Shailendra, are you there with us? Yes. So sir, the first question for you is that what do we know of the behavior of the red-crowned roofed turtle in wild in terms of the resource partitioning or habitat usage? Is there any information that we know about it?
That's a very good question. So actually, my colleague Pawan Parik, he has been working on that since I mentioned that out of 100 nest, so 10 only are Batagur Kachuga, rest 90 are Batagur Dangoka. And that question has been troubling us. Why? So in generic word, we can say that Batagur Dangoka are more generalist than the Batagur Kachuga, but we don't know for sure. We know that, okay, I mean, but both species of both females of both species, they like uh, deep waters and high sands and stuff, but honestly we don't know. We know very little about resource partnering on that, but we are working on that as form of a PhD project which is happening right now. So maybe in years or two we would be able to cast more light on that.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is that in a conservation breeding program, how important do you think the genetic diversity is for, like, slow breeding species like the red-crowned roof turtle?
Genetic diversity is very, very important, and we believe, and that is the reason. I mean, like we want to do genetics of all the animals. Those are in the captivity. They are close to. I mean, if you add all the four populations, they are close to 100 adult specimens. So definitely, we want to just like develop a genetic library and genetic sequencing to understand that means how we can genetically manage them, and that's very, very important when you try and breed a small population, and genetic bottlenecks definitely they emerge sooner or later. So definitely that is again on the plan. And since most of the animals are sourced from the Chambal, so definitely that would be very helpful to find like one or two animals from other colonies or from other populations such as Ganges or Yamuna and other places. If we definitely try and avoid the genetic bottleneck in years to come.
Right, sir. And so the next question for you is that how can ex-situ programs support the in-situ conservation of the species, especially with reference to reintroduction? Like how many species, like do we have any number or any kind of, idea on how they can?
So I would say that anything which is not in situ is ex situ. So for example, if we are trying to protect the nest through even hatchery program, that I will classify that as a ex situ program. Any animals are taken from the wild and being reared in any field level facility. So lots of people think that ex situ are happening only in the zoo. So whatever, like, I showcase the program, the intervention which is happening on the Chambal River, it is currently it's a mix of both ex situ and in situ. Even we are there in the Chambal River, so we try and mimic as much as possible. So if you recall my in situ word, that was under inverted comma. That means it is actually not in situ. So it's a mix of in situ and ex situ. Plus, since we already started developing assurance colonies and two colonies started breeding, including Madras Crocodile Bank and another which is in the range is Kukrail. So we greatly hope that some of the animals can return to the wild very soon, especially for the reintroduction purposes, if not just to support the same population in Chambal. So we are in talk with the Madras Crocodile Bank as well as Kukrail Gharial Center, that we can start releasing more animals in the area and see that means where they go, what they do, and all of that. So definitely yes. So yeah, so it's like right now it's a mix of everything, and definitely most of the things are ex situ right now. I would say since the species is just surviving a small part of the entire distribution range, and we need lots more ex situ work to be done for the survival. Yeah.
Right, sir. And are there any community initiatives like which you had mentioned? Are there how important do you think community initiatives are in the initiative for conservation of the species, especially in Chambal?
Yes, so community initiatives are very important, and eventually all the species which were breeding in the zoos and the rehabilitation center need to return and be there in the wild to to be like functional in the ecology and do what a species is supposed to do, right? So it's very important to bring the community on board. So we have a education center there in Garaita itself, and that is dedicated toward like bringing all the communities. So besides the education, we also do lots of cost benefit analysis with the people who does the river bank agriculture, and also we also connect with the women, and uh, we also work with certain communities along the key populations to find some alternate livelihood. So that is again very important, that means how you do that. So definitely all the programs whatever we are doing right now, so I would say that means 20 to 25% of our effort goes to involve the communities and also showcase that why this turtle is very important in particular ecosystem. And without communities, all the programs, conservation programs are actually half. So we'll have to definitely involve them in much bigger way. Yeah.
Right, sir. So those were the questions for you. We now move on to questions for the Kanpur Zoo. So, Dr. Nasir, the first question, are you there with us? So, Dr. Nasir, your first question is that what are the long-term plans for taking up conservation breeding of the red-crowned roof turtle at your zoo? And is there any planned construction of off-display facility or anything else in the works?
Actually, nowadays there is only 16 red crown turtle is here, and there is no male is there. So the breeding program is hindered here. So in our future plan is that we arrange the male first of all, and the enclosures which are uh, which are present here. The next enclosure, so there is, in one pond there is 15. So make a second pond, and some females are shifted there, and provide them male so that they breed in future. This is our plan.
I will quickly supplement Nasir on this. So we are already in talk with Madras Crocodile Bank, and in the backdrop, Gauri and I were talking that how soon we can organize the male, and I think that 2 to 3 males are required immediately to get that done. And another thing is that what we have been talking with the director of Kanpur Zoological Garden is to divide the entire population into display and breeding populations. So once we have 2 facilities and 2 males, 2 to 3 males, I think the program can be started without any problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. And Sir Dr. Nasir, the second question for you is that are there any research activities that are carried out within the zoo with partnership with universities and all? And if so, can you tell us something about it?
Actually, last year one PhD student come here for the doing his thesis for in Zoo, Thamin deer. So at that time, the professor talked to me, and the student come here. But suddenly, after 2 or 3 months, he worked here for the breeding and management treatment and this program. After that, he changed his topic. Actually, he is in future we are collaborating with the other veterinary colleges and universities for the research and education programs.
All right, sir. So I think those were the questions for you too. I don't think there are any more. So with this, we come to conclusion for our week 66, Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk. On behalf of the Central Zoo Authority, I would like to thank both Dr. Shailendra Singh and to you, Dr. For taking time out of your busy schedules and joining us for this talk. I would also like to thank the audience who have been with us throughout this talk, and I hope you've learned more about the red-crowned roof turtle, the initiatives that are being made for its conservation, as well as on the Kanpur Zoological Park and the management that they do there. I would also like to inform the audience that the Kanpur Zoological Park will be continuing the outreach activities for the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav through this week. So do visit the zoo if you are in Kanpur during this week to participate in that. And we will be back next week with our week 67, with our week 67th Know Your Species, Know Your Zoo talk, which is on the Gangetic River dolphin and the Sanjay Gandhi Biological Park, Bihar. So do tune in for that talk also next Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar.